أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم وسهل مخرجهم واحشرنا معهم وارزقنا شفاعتهم. Today we take the Oman to be in the natural environment of KBR Park. It's all greenery. We are in the midst of our call of nature, love for nature, and all around we are with nature. So it is an amalgamation to be in a system of Allah Azza wa Jal, all around seeing His Jalwa. And that Jalwa we recollect to remind us, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Inna dina indallahi al-Islam. The best deen which Allah appreciates, likes, loves is Islam. Up to our 9th episode, we came down to trace out the historical background of those who were responsible for the Battle of Siffin and Karbala and the ceasefire come peace treaty for Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salam. And that was the foreign think tank in the Bani Muawiyad court, and then inherited and came down after him into the court of Yazid as the think tank, who was Sargon or Sergius. Now, and in that we have also recollected that the event of Mubahala has traced it down throughout the history to collect the data of a background as a proxy. So we find here another proxy which traces back before of Sargon or Sergius, and that proxy was the implanted legend even to Taha Hussain and many of the Western Orientalists, and that was Abdullah ibn Saba. Abdullah ibn Saba is said to be the Yemeni Jew by Orientalists and the Muslim authors, and most of the elite of the Muslim intellectual as well as the Western ones, they have counted him down as a legend, as fiction, or at least as a semi-fiction. That is, even if he was the person, then the story was fabricated. Story was not real. Person may be true, non-fiction, but that story narrated was fabricated. So that was the story of Abdullah ibn Saba coming from Yemen, and he is, after sowing the seeds of dissension within Muslims, because he was from the Jewish lobby, as we have said in the previous episode, that Sergius was the think tank in the same way as a proxy in the Bani Umayyad court of Muawiyah and Yazid, causing Siffin and Karbala and Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salam. So here also we see that before Sargon, we see the traces after the defeat and walking over of Nasara and Najran, the Christians, to have plotted against the Islam, against Muslims, to bring dissension. So stories were fabricated, and in that one of the first stories that comes to surface is of Abdullah ibn Saba. It is said that Abdullah ibn Saba was among the first Ghali, and he said that he believed in Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam as Ghulu, to the extent sometimes he said he is Nabi or he is God, for which Imam Ali has punished. But these are all a mix of those stories which are fabricated. Sometimes they say it was Muhammad bin Nusayri from whom they came with these beliefs, and sometimes they claim this to be Abdullah ibn Saba. Well, in our studies, both are incorrect. Even if they are persons in living and non-fiction, but the stories are all fabricated for two reasons. Number one, we can find for Abdullah ibn Saba as a narrative, as most of the Western Orientalists and within the Muslims, we see Taha Hussain and other scholars of repute, they have refused to accept Abdullah ibn Saba as a person, but they have accepted him as a fiction. And the story was related, tailored to bring him from Jewish background of Yemen. Now we found over here that he orchestrated the murder of the third caliph of Muslims, Uthman, and because he was siding with the Shias, he was siding with Imam Ali. That's why the story runs around as a fulcrum to say that there was a dissension between Nauzubillah Imam Ali and Uthman. But if we look into Nahjul Balagha, we will come to know that this all idea gets thwarted. It becomes to null and void, a big zero, because Imam Ali says that at a time when nobody was allowed to take the food and water to Hazrat Usman, Imam Ali said to his sons, Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain salam, that, oh my dear sons, you both of you go and give water and food. So Imam Hassan salam was carrying the water skin, mush, and Imam Hussain salam was carrying the food, because their personality was so enlightened and highlighted, respected, that seeing them, no rebellion could attack them, and they went into the court, the palace of the ruler, Hazrat Usman, and they gave him. So we can see that to avoid any dissension, to maintain unity within the Muslims, we can see how Imam Ali has worked hard right from the time of Hazrat Abu Bakr, Hazrat Umar, and then Hazrat Uthman, that nobody can say. In the light of letter number 78 which he wrote, we can find this: he maintained the lineage of his unity among the Muslims. So this letter 78 contradicts the contents of for what Abdullah ibn Sabah story has been engineered, tailored. Number one. Number two, after the event of Mubahala, we see as how Sergius or Serjon was sown as a seed to bring down the imamat, maqam imamat of Ahl al-Bayt, first with Muawiyah, who orchestrated Siffin by Serjon, and then it came to the ceasefire come treaty of Imam Hassan Mujtaba Islam, and then followed by the Battle of Karbala. After the going away to his place by Muawiyah, his son Yazid ibn Muawiyah, when he became the ruler, he got the same think tank, Sergius, who was from Rome. And we can see that the reasons cited for Serjon are same as those of Abdullah ibn Sabah to bring dissension and martyrdom of Aimah alayhi salam. So in the first place, with the story of Serjon, we see that the place of Aimah alayhi salam was belittled with the efforts of first three rulers to bring in place of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. As there were many such friends of Hazrat Umar, as has come in the biography of Hazrat Umar, that in Medina he had many Jewish and Christians, and especially the Jewish friends in his vicinity. And then we see that how the event of murder of Hazrat Usman was captioned as a handiwork of Abdullah ibn Sabah, whereas the historical records say that he was a fiction, he was not a character, he was not a person, not a living being. But even if some have accepted him as a living being and a non-fiction person, even they have also admitted that the story has been tailored. Person may be there, but the story is fabricated. That he was siding to Imam Ali, and he was in the murder plan of those who killed Hazrat Usman. So this was the dissension. So this is what we see, and what we want to develop the line of thought of action is that after the event of Mubahala, when the Nasara Najran walked over, admitting their defeat against the truthfulness of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, who went in Mubahala, Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Fatima Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, Maulatina Fatima Zahra sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Imam al-Hasanain alayhi salam, Afzal al-Tahiyyat wal Ikram wa salam. Then the plot came first in the form of Abdullah ibn Sabah, and this carried the second phase of this mission of division of Muslims, and that created a dissension between Shi'an Ali ibn Abi Talib and Shi'an Banu Umayyah or Shi'an Muawiyah, who came in the battlefield of Karbala. So this was our in the 10th episode, and the reason behind what we have said is we have to see, when we have claimed that the story of Abdullah ibn Sabah, even if he was a person, is a fabricated one, we have to look into its Rijal. Now when we come to its Rijal, we come to know that after a long time, say around after 90 years of event of Karbala, that is 90 years, 150 years after the killing of Hazrat Usman, that is the story of narrating to Abdullah ibn Sabah behind the murder of Hazrat Usman. For the first time, who has recorded in his book the character, the person of Abdullah ibn Sabah, was Saif bin Umar. And Saif bin Umar was a person of 2nd century, that is from 30th Hijri, when Hazrat Usman was killed. From 30th Hijri to around 157 Hijri, we do not find any record of character of Abdullah ibn Sabah. So we have to take out the 157 minus 30. That comes to 127 years. There was no record, there were no signs, there was nothing, any link between 30 Hijri event and 157. All how at once Saif bin Umar had penned down him, and what were the motivations behind his writing to this story, how he was a person of Banu Umayyad court, and how Ulama Rijal have counted him on the weight and measure of his reliability, and how far he was truthful, and how much he was a person of fake storytelling fabrications. That we will continue in our next episode, episode number 11. So in our episode number 11, we will continue with what the biographers of both Shia and Sunni count to Saif bin Umar. Till then, we say wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum wa sahil makhrajahum wa shurna ma'ahum wa rzuqna shafa'atuhum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let Allah bless all Muslimin, Mu'minin, Shia and Sunni to be in the fabric of strongest unity, because we need to, by making our unity, we are defeating Shaitan, because Shaitan is enemy of all human beings. No human being is enemy of any human being except to Shaitan, who is enemy of all human beings. So we should be very careful, very smart enough to know our enemy, so that we can take ample steps, measures to protect our unity, protect our society, protect our value as true human beings. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum wa sahil makhrajahum wa shunna ma'ahum wa rzuqna shafa'atahum.